Ben takes his glass of white wine from the platter held out to him and thanks the server. She nods awkwardly. Eric takes his bourbon, and when the server seems to hesitate for a moment, he smiles at her before turning his attention back to Ben. What are we about in this country? Are we about freedom? Are we about fairness? I love the great diversity in America, but I don't want most people to vote on the best engine to use on a spacecraft headed for Mars, or how to program autonomous vehicles or run a nation. Eric picks up his glass. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not everyone can understand the technology, Ben says, so yeah, we should face up to that. We need people to run things, Eric says, who know how things actually work, and that's becoming an increasingly small percentage of society, and these are smart people. The people who know how things work, you mean. They must be able to capture the value they have created, Eric says. How do you feel about that? I mean, I'm all for it, Ben says. People need to be rewarded for their efforts. He looks around. This house is huge. We've outgrown democracy as a force for social change, Eric says. I'm not saying we should abandon it, but how we interact is being continuously upgraded by entrepreneurs, not by legislature. Eric takes a sip from his tumbler, then sets it back on the table so he can open his hands in front of him. Everything we do must be funded. The price of a project is important. Is it scalable? Our government can't assess what we can and can't do. People with very pedestrian minds occupy all the important positions. If we can't get them out of their chairs, our legislature will remain in the hands of people who just want to sit in positions of power. Why? I'm tired of these dull people playing games with our lives so they can occupy the highest positions in the land. Maybe this is what they dreamed of since they were a teenager and saw a politician garner so much attention. Okay, Ben says, I have to push back on that a little. Not every politician just wants a seat at the table. No, you're right, Eric smiles. I'm fucking with you a little here to make a point. Let's say most politicians do want to help create a better world for everyone. Would they learn how to do that in law school? No, Ben says. We need smart people to be having conversations, Eric says. Put the smartest people in a room and let them work on our problems. I don't even have to see them. I trust that the most intelligent thinkers will come up with solutions, and we know who they are. Ben takes a sip of his wine. Eric looks at the palm of his hand. Theoretical physicists are the smartest people on the planet. I mean, I try to break the framework of how people think. You, Eric, are the only person I know who could create a theory of everything while running a hedge fund. I mean, I still can't believe it. You are the smartest guy I know. Well, thank you, Eric says. I really appreciate that. I don't know if that's correct, but I like to think that I have some idea of the questions we need to be asking, and right now we must figure out how to travel faster than the speed of light to get off this planet. Are you working on that? What? How to travel faster than the speed of light. I have too much on my plate right now. Ben rubs his thighs with his palms. We need to get off this planet. Sure. No, I mean really. Yes, we do, Eric says, but if we can't do that, we must improve the planet we're presently on. Okay, we can't go back in time. We can't go back to before democracy was superseded by vast inequality of ability and vast inequality of rewards. He takes a sip from his tumbler. But aren't we still, Ben says, in this great democratic experiment of equal opportunity? I love you, Ben, but you are a child if you think that. My oldest son is 15 now, and I would never send my kids to a public school. I don't feel like flushing their future down the toilet. Who does that? You don't have kids? No. Do you plan on having kids? Maybe, I think, probably I will at some point. Ben stares at the floor. My son is studying how to make neural nets for artificial intelligence in a really good private high school. If all goes well, he'll graduate from an elite school, and he'll be recruited before he even graduates for a career he's passionate about. Can you imagine graduating from some public school and having to find a job on your own? Ben starts to speak, then smiles. Let me ask you. You can say no. Would you talk about that on my podcast? No. But I do believe that we who have advantages must make a difference in this world. My son knows this. He already feels responsible to do everything within his power to improve society for everyone. He's an amazing kid, Ben says. Thinking about kids, you know, I have a kind of childlike sense of wonder. I believe that people are fundamentally good. The people I know want to improve the lives of everyone on this planet. I really believe that. And you, my friend, need to tell the public what you know. I mean, you should come on my podcast again. I would love that. Eric takes the tumbler in both hands. What I'm telling you now is not for the public. Ben notices their host in his blue blazer and jeans talking to one of the guests. He tells Eric, I remember you saying that you met all the smart people you know at dinner parties like this. Ben smiles. Didn't you say that friendship was the first business relationship in the history of humankind? When I said that, I was talking about loyalty which existed among animals long before humans came on the scene. That was before money. Ben picks up his glass. Money is a gatekeeper, Eric says. Money is the domain in which we can be social actors. On the other hand, entrepreneurs must provide what other people want if they're going to make money, so everyone votes with their purchasing power. Oh, wow, Ben says, yeah, no, you're right. Money is democracy. Those entrepreneurs who are the top performers raise the standard of living for everyone. The difference between the haves and have-nots has become the gap between the haves and super haves, and a growing wealth gap puts more money in the hands of the people most capable of improving all our lives. Don't quote me on this, Eric says, but money assures that the people in the room are the people who have risen to where they can join the conversation. Like we're having now. Ben smiles at the glass in his hand. Who we hang out with shapes our brains. Eric says there is such a huge range of intelligence. Look, I'm basically a liberal and you're a conservative, but we're both open to new ideas, so we can sit here and have an amazing discussion. Through dinners, I've gotten to know at least one person who can introduce me to anyone in the world who I'd like to meet. I know, Ben says. I mean, I've had everyone on my podcast who I've wanted to meet. Elon Musk, Roger Penrose, Chomsky, you. It's mind-blowing. And now I'm going on the second and third round with some of these people. What about you? Are you ready for a third round? Let me think about it and get back to you. Eric picks up his tumbler and looks at it. That would be great. People need to hear what you're thinking. Do you realize I've done over 200 podcasts? Ben, you are one of the people changing this world for the better. I really love what you're doing. You've created a forum for the conversations that need to be having. We need to be having. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm just following my heart. Paula unlocks the door. She stops just inside, staring at her tiny studio apartment. She enters the kitchen and lies her black jacket across the back of one of the mismatched chairs. She unbuttons her white shirt before walking over and collapsing face first on the bed. After a half hour, she stirs. She gets off the bed and removes her white shirt. She steps out of her black skirt and pulls on her sweatpants and a green sweater. She opens her laptop on the kitchen table and searches YouTube for a podcast called Rebel Thought. She's looking for the men she served drinks to earlier. There they are, where she is accustomed to seeing them. Ben Murphy is introducing Eric Friedlander. She hits the space bar to pause the video. She finds a vodka on the counter and pours some into a small juice glass before continuing to watch. Imagine approaching the event horizon of a black hole, this paragon of animals going nowhere fast. The rare times Paula has been invited to a party, she has been more comfortable petting a dog she just met than joining a group of people talking excitedly around a kitchen table. But she can still say something that surprises people so that they don't know where they are for a moment. People seldom include enough factors in their consideration of complex problems to get beyond a convenient understanding. Paula doesn't want to live in a magical realm in which people's lives are an accurate measure of their intelligence or creativity. She wants to see the society we actually live in, where judgment varies and we never get an accurate measure of anyone. She knows that other people judge her abilities quickly by the job she has, and when she's working in her black and white clothes with her hair pulled back into a tight bun, she's not allowed to talk to the guests. Why couldn't I say anything? Paula asked herself. Am I a coward, afraid to speak up for myself? That was my only chance to object to anything these people say. They talked about how many people the galaxy could house if we could get off this one planet, trillions, and there would be lots of Einsteins and Beethovens. I stood behind them too long, listening in, trying to build up the courage to interrupt their conversation. I felt someone pull on my arm and went with him. My manager was brought over, and I was fired on the spot. I hadn't said anything. The two men hadn't noticed me standing behind their chairs. I was getting ready to say something like, "Hey, assholes, there are people in the world you don't know who also have the capacity to think."